Well, hello everyone. PL Stewart here. I'm back. We are here for the follow-up video to my video, which was essentially 40 traditionally published science fiction and fantasy authors that you should read by the year 2040. So this is the companion video. This is the video about the indie authors you need to read. And in this case, I'm giving you more than double your pleasure here. I'm giving you 85 indie authors that you need to read in the next 85 months. So you might ask, why 85? You gave us only 40 traditionally published authors. Why 85 months, which is just over 7 years, when you gave us 14 years to read the traditionally published science fiction fantasy authors? Well, simply put, we all need to catch up our indies because indies has only recently in the last 15 I'd say years to 20 years become a thing. So I'd say most of us would agree we are behind on our indie science fiction and fantasy reading, and we want to read more of them. So we got to catch up a bit more than with the trad side, right? Indie trad all equal in terms of how good, the caliber and all that. We get it. However, I know I need to catch up with my indie reads. Definitely lagging behind. I'm trying to rectify that. But I think a lot of us are feeling the same. So I gave you more indie reads. So clearly, these 85 authors, these are only authors that I've read. So I unfortunately, there's so many indie books that I think are going to be absolutely amazing once I do read them, and I'm going to love those authors, but I technically can't put them on the list if I haven't read them yet. However, these 85, and unfortunately, I don't have all of the physical copies. Some of them have only read an arc, or, but in any case, I've tried to highlight some of these that I've read, and just they need to make the list. They're just so amazing. But again, I don't have the physical copy. But for the most part, I do have the tangible physical books. I'm going to flash them. I'm going to try to be quick so I don't make this video too long, but I'm going to get as many of them as I can with some sort of, pitch, why I should read them, something about the author, something like that. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to go as quickly as I can. And let me go with first the physical stuff, because then I can just hopefully I have all the picks lined up for all of the stuff that I don't have. So, okay, without further ado, and these are in no particular order. This isn't in order of how high I rank the author in terms of how much I like their work or how amazing a writer I think they are. Is this random? We're just firing shots. And we're going to get through this as quickly as possible. And hopefully you'll watch this video and bookmark it for, if you see something you really like and that you can add to your TBR. I think with 85 authors, there's a good chance you've probably read or heard of some of them. But if you're someone who's not really into the indie science fiction fantasy scene, perhaps you will find something that you like. All right, let's go. Start with a very popular series. Very popular author. Zamil Akhtar, Gunmetal Gods. One of the most popular, I think, science fiction fantasy indie series going right now. It's cosmic horror. It's spooky monsters. It's dark themes. It's grim dark. It's lush Middle Eastern inspired world. It's great characters. It's fabulous. Go read it. You probably heard about it. Don't sleep on it. Just go get it. Amazing stuff. Gunmetal Gods. Zamil Akhtar is the author. That's an author to check out. Love Letter to Afro Samurai, Sister Samurai by Tatiana Obe. Katanas, afros, kick butt, warriors. This is just fun, fabulous, and surprisingly deep in a very short space. Tatiana has some other great stuff as well. More on the YA side. Check out Tatiana Obe. She's a fabulous author. Really a love letter to all of the wonderful Black women in her life. But this is just a great, really well-respected author. Great novel, very highly praised. Check out Tatiana Obe's work. One of the staples of indie fantasy, Clayton Snyder, extremely well-decorated and highly regarded author, grimdark extraordinaire, funny, snarky, just his humor is just fantastic. Again, highly decorated. This one, another, I think, an SPFBO semifinalist. He's got tons of these little badges for various things. Again, one of the authors has been around for a while and really doing fabulous work. Check out Clayton Snyder's work. Awesome stuff. And this is River of Thieves, one of my faves by him. Author needs no introduction, very highly decorated as well. All kinds of awards, and also including SPFBO, and I should clarify, Self-Published Fantasy Blog Off finalist. Zach Argyle versus Award. This is what he's best known for. It's, as close to, I think, Brandon Sanderson in the indie world, the way a lot of people describe or pitch this series. Threadlight is the name of the series, and that's the magic system. Just great stuff. Packs a punch, short, but doesn't sacrifice on the depth of characters. Really well done. Very accessible, like Sanderson. Very accessible. So, very popular series. But Zach Argyle, great author, does so many great things in the community. Him and his wife, Hillary Bookboard, who's a fabulous booktuber. Definitely someone you want to check out. Zach Argyle. Okay, this individual just read this book, Destiny's Doom, Von Roycroft, amazing author, amazing person, inspired by the conflict between the ancient Romans and the different Germanic tribes, the Huns, the Visigoths, etc. That sacked Rome. This is an amazing series. It's good. I just finished the last book. This last book in the series. It's called Thunder Nation. I believe this is going to wind up definitely in my top indie science fiction fantasy series of all time currently. Just a matter of whether it cracks top. It's going to crack top 5. Let's just see how high it goes. But this is an amazing author, Von Roycroft. Check out his Thunder Nation. Fabulous. Quick greetings, salutations to a brilliant individual and wonderful community supporter, Mac. How's it going, my friend? Salutations. Hope you and your reading are going well. Okay, we're breezing through this. One of the most well-known editors and authors, a combination of talent, spectacular. One of the best-known editors in the indie sphere, writes brilliantly dark and compelling, brutal, but the themes of Sarah Chorn. This is Seraphine's Lament. She is a fabulous author. If you can get Sarah Chorn to edit your book, you're in a good place in the indie community. Again, she's one of the most well-known and best editors, I believe, in my opinion, that's out there. And Seraphine's Lament, oh my gosh, it's gonna hit in the feels. It is dark, it is disturbing, but her prose is spectacular. She is just a brilliant writer as well as a fabulous editor. Sarah Chorn. Okay, one of the OGs, one of the people who they've paved the way for indie authors such as you out there who is an indie author, science fiction, fantasy author, myself, all of us. Dirk Ashton, his Paternus is it is a mashup of historical, fantastical monsters and creatures brought to life, giving you plausible explanation for the backstory. It's fantastic, great action. If you're a history buff, a history nerd like myself, you will just eat this up. It is just amazing. One of the most well-known indie science fiction and fantasy series out there. This is just great stuff. Dirk Ashton, check him out, and he is just a wonderful person. So, Dirk Ashton. All right. An author who needs no introduction. Probably one of the most popular indie science fiction fantasy authors going right now. One of the best-selling, certainly. He has taken the indie world by storm. Taken no prisoners whatsoever. He's become a household name, essentially. Ryan Cahill. This is his novella, The Fall. It's stunningly amazing. The amount of action and world building that he packs into a small space is just phenomenal. Check out his series, The Bound and Broken. It is, again, I can't even describe how much Ryan has blown up, and we're so happy for him. But he has basically become one of the most popular science fiction and fantasy authors recently, period. Not just indie. So he's kicking down doors. He's going places where no one else has ever gone before in the indie sphere. He is a trailblazer extraordinaire. Ryan Cahill, read his stuff. Dragon Rider Fantasy. Who doesn't like that stuff? That's part of the reason behind his popularity, I think, but also because he's a fabulous writer. Ryan Cahill. Alrighty, another very popular author whose book has become really an indie darling and probably one of the single most popular books in the indie sphere in terms of recognition, credibility, something that is personally, I mean, it's just affected me on a personal level because of this nature of the story and the main character. It really speaks to me. This is Legacy of the Bright Wash by Crystal Matar. Crystal is, again, one of the best authors out there, an amazing person. This book is extremely very well known now. Another self-published fantasy blog off a finalist, really popular book. Up there with I believe it will take its place one day with the Sword of Kaigens, etc., as simply the best in terms of a single book that the genre has to offer. So, Legacy of the Bright Wash. Another bright light in the community and a brilliant author who is highly well decorated, has quite a few self-published fantasy blog off semi-finalist berths. I actually, as a judge, recommended this book as a semi-finalist. Old school fantasy done right, tropes done right, slow burn, gives you all the feels that you're looking for. Those trips to the inn. It's wonderful with a mature main character, found family, heliotrope, and the author's Palmer Pickering. Palmer is such a bright light in the community. She does so much for us to support us, and definitely check out her work. She's a brilliant author. Heliotrope was a marvelous book. It's a chonker, but you're gonna love it. You're gonna immerse yourself if you like the Robin Hobbs and that ilk. This is your kind of book. Okay, another classic fantasy done right. With the tropes that we're all loving and familiar with. But again, just because it's a trope doesn't mean that if it's well written, you won't feel that it's fresh and inventive if it's done properly. This is Mark Timoney. This is Blood and Spear, another fairly popular book. Mark's a great author. Check out his stuff. You want that classic fantasy vibe, bring you back to this, the Swords of Shannara, etc., the Wheels of Time. This is the type of author that you should be reading. Mark Timoney. You get a little sci-fi here. What a gorgeous cover. Brandon O'Shea, dystopian sci-fi, really great characters, a chilling world where above and below there's danger lurks. Above and below the surface. This is, again, fantastic. Really great characterizations, great found family. This is really good stuff. So an author that deserves more love in terms of her work, Branwen O'Shea. All righty. So where are we now? Oh, let's get back to some grimdark, okay? So, AJ Recker. The hero that finds out that knighthood isn't what it cracked up to be, that there's some kind of slimy things that go with the job. This book is fabulous. Again, dark. Some twisted stuff happens, but your little grimdark heart will love this writer. He's got a couple books out now, and they're really good. So check out AJ Recker if you want that realistic. Hey, you know what? You're not in Kansas anymore. This is what it's really about, being in these secondary fantasy worlds, and what can happen to someone who has noble ideas and realizes that the world isn't a noble place. Quick from Mac, he says, like to shout out my indie author friend Alexander, or AA Saloin, and his epic fantasy, A Tide of Sacred Ice. Love letters to Tolkien, Narnia, Prydian, and Malazan. Ooh, that sounds like quite the mix there, Mac. Okay, well, shout out to AA, and I'll have to put that on my TBR. So thanks for that rec, Mac. So who knows? Maybe that will be on one of my lists one day when I read him. So Mac, you want Rex? This Mac is intellectual guy, really cerebral person, and has fantastic recommendations in the fantasy milieu. So, if Mac gives you a rec, you'll definitely want to take him seriously on that one. So thanks, Mac. Okay, another OG, another iconic science fiction fantasy author who was I talked about people who blazed the trail for all of us authors in the industry now in science fiction fantasy. Mike Shell is one of those. Another great and fabulous author, Iconoclast series. First book, Aching God, another SBFBO finalist. Mature, kind of jaded character, gets brought back into the game, finds out that, there's problems, there's trouble in Dodge. But he's back in for personal reasons, including family, for another ride, another horribly dangerous adventure from which the odds of returning are slim. And yeah, great series, great author, beautiful prose, mature character. I love to see those older characters that been there, done that, and they're coming with some real experience, some life experience. Fantastic. Again, a trailblazer, Mike Shaw. Boy, we got loads of self-published fantasy blog off finalists in this thing. Like Kirsten Espinosa Rosario, Burn Red Skies, another self-published fantasy blog off finalist. You see the dragons. Hey man, this is all the introduction you need, right? Great stuff, great character work, fantastic action, a lot of political intrigue. I believe she's got the first 2 books out. I think it's a trilogy. I apologize, Kristen, I can't remember. But again, the credentials, self-published fantasy blog off finalist, that it's a certain caliber book that typically makes it there. Check out Kirsten Espinosa Rosario. You want a little bit of something like Outlander, you like some historical fiction, some romance, some time travel. Yeah. Heatherland, Skywatcher series, great stuff. A lot of spiritual mysticism, indigenous culture. Like this is a great series, underrated. But yeah, if you like Outlander and that type of stuff, yeah, right up your alley. Heatherland, Deja Vu in the Skywatcher series. All right, I just literally finished this man's novella, Sound of Starfall. It was brilliant, dark as heck, but absolutely brilliant. Scott Palmer, amazing fella, and this is the first book in his main series, The Last Ballad, Memory Song. I was going to read it this year. The novella I read was absolutely stunning, dark, twisted, but amazing. If you like the grimdark, this guy is a rising star. I'm telling you, when people really realize how good his stuff is, his star is only ascending. So check out Scott Palmer, fellow Canuck, by the way, fellow Canadian, Scott Palmer. All right. Beautiful, poignant, dark, but very uplifting, hopeful fantasy, more on the YA side, but some very, very mature themes. Beautiful covers. E.G. Radcliffe, Chronicles of Eight series, Faye, romance, great representation, queer rep. Fantastic series. In my top indie science fiction fantasy series of all time. And look at the covers, man. They're literally fire. So, E.G. Radcliffe, she's a self-published fantasy blog off semi-finalist, I believe. Again, has all the awards, has all the cred, and her writing is scrumptious. So check out E.G. Radcliffe. Oh, talk about raw talent. And the stew has been simmering for a while. A mature writer with such her craft it's honed, it's beautiful, it's dark, it's character driven, it's sci-fi fantasy, it's an isolated, arrogant, suspicious main character who has to find a way to survive and find a way to trust. I've only read the book. I absolutely love this series is going to be one of my top indie series, I can tell. But I read one of the books, so I know I'm shot calling, but Sordanian, Ella Stevens, she is just such a fabulous author and such an amazing person. Like, this is something, character, you need to read this. This is beautiful. Takes its time, builds the worlds, builds the characters, and you're just completely immersed. So, Sordanian, Ella Stevens. Shriem Puri Revelations is the series. Okay, my absolute favorite current science fiction and fantasy indie science fiction and fantasy author, beloved booktuber, brilliant academic and professor, Tolkien scholar, medievalist. So the best way I can equate this is, if you want, essentially, this man wears his inspiration on his sleeves, and there are many, but Tolkien is obviously a primary one. John Gwynne. But the best way to describe it, if you want the immersion of Tolkien, the world building, the poetry, the song, the waxing about the pastoral, but you want the action, the battle scenes, and you want it more accessible than perhaps Tolkien, but still with that elevated, that immersive prose, like that. Philip Chase. Wild Gardeners Gathers. This is the hey, when you see Mark Lawrence giving you endorsement, yeah, it's probably pretty good. This is the sequel to his main series, the Edan trilogy, which I loved. And again, the Edan trilogy is my favorite current science fiction and fantasy indie series. This is a sequel where we see where the characters have gone after the events of the main series, and a whole new generation emerges. Philip Chase, just absolutely a brilliant author, and my current favorite series, all things Edan, in terms of indie science fiction and fantasy, numero uno. Okay, got a little science fiction space opera. Jonathan Rivera, Goodbye the Sun. Really, this is a book that for me needs to be more acclaimed for the prose, for the character depth, for the themes. Really, really, really well done. If you like sci-fi, and I haven't read Dune, it's on my reading list, but I've heard that a lot of the thematic stuff is comparable. Yeah, I have to read more from this author, Jonathan Rivera. Really, really good in the sci-fi story. I need to read more sci-fi, period. But yeah, Jonathan Rivera, Goodbye to the Sun. Read this author. Fantastic stuff. I literally just picked up, after reading Scott Palmer's book, I picked up her book. Another fellow Connect. She writes, from what I can see early on, marvelous found family and domestic relationships and relationships between siblings and spouses and children, and it seems very compelling thus far. I took a risk in some ways by putting it on the list because I haven't finished the book, but I feel strongly enough after reading a few chapters that she deserves to make the list, definitely. And I'd heard nothing but good things about her work anyway. So Trinity Cunningham, this is book 2 in her series. This is Unbound is the name of the series, as the Guardians of the Wildfire Stone. So I'm reading currently book 1, and this is book 2. So book 1 is on my nightstand, and great covers, eh? So yeah, fellow Canadian and great fantasy author, check out Trinity Cunningham's stuff. And this is Unbound. All right. Another very popular and well-known and highly decorated author who writes Asian-inspired fantasy. If you like the Crouching Tiger and Hidden Dragon and katanas and the samurai stuff, and you like really deep character work, great action. The lore, it's got everything. It's Virginia McLean, Sarah's Claw. And this is a Janosaki novel. She's written a lot of stuff. Virginia McLean is a very has an extensive body of work, and is a very well-known author, highly decorated, self-published fantasy blog off, I believe. Same Foundless and Foundless. She's someone you probably heard of and know, but it's about time, if you've been thinking and on the fence, to try her stuff. Awesome, and check out that cover. And she's just a wonderful person. Does a lot for the community. As well, for our community, the writing community. So Virginia McLean, check out her novels. Space Bears, sorry. Superheroes in space. Sentient computers and spaceships. Just fun. Surprising depth. But probably one of the most fun things I read last year. JCM Bird. And if you meet the man, you realize how funny he is, and it's no surprise why the humor in his novel was great. I had the privilege of meeting him in person. Wistful Sending, just Hybrid Helix, another really popular series that you probably heard about. You're probably like, but it's not Avengers, but you got superheroes in space essentially. Great stuff, man. Just a great palate cleanser. Again, surprising depth. You want to read JCM Byrne. Funny as heck. Amazing stuff. And quickly, Max says, he says, excited to get to Eden. Prologue, Philip's currently writing. For full transparency, I might join Professor Chase and Geiger. Hey, there you go. Yep. And as you know, I'm sure you're aware, Mac, I'm currently with Philip and Evan, the nerd writer, doing the first part of the GGK. I've been honored to get the launch off with Fia Narvar Tapestry, Kay's first work, and then there'll be different guests joining them for their other as Evan and Philip explore the rest of GGKR, as Evan has dubbed it. So that's fantastic. I hope you do join, and I hope you love it. Kay is a master. So and Philip, of course, is amazing. So enjoy that. Another great author. His series is very popular these days, and I read his novella only. I will get to the main series this year, and boy, it was good. Dark, grim dark, but also with that classical fantasy feel. Great character work, mature main character, disillusioned, twisted main character that you realize how he got that way. And you find that out in this novella. And this is Night of the Moon, and the author is Gregory Kontaxis. Again, I'm sure you've probably seen his stuff, but the more you see of it, and you're like, I should really pick that up. Just put it on the TBR. Great stuff. Gregory Kontaxis, Night of the Moon is this novella, and I will be reading his main series. I anticipate that's gonna be really good. Like something top list kind of good stuff. So. Crime noir with monsters, great humor, snark, great palate cleanser. Again, surprising depth. Come on, for the title alone, a troll walks into a bar. Come on, man, you gotta get this. You gotta get this. Douglas Lumsden's a wonderful gent. Again, another mature writer who knows his craft. Just a lot of fun, sweary, stabby, mystery. It's just great stuff. Again, crime noir detective, in a fantasy type setting, fantasy sci-fi type setting, and it's just really good. Read it just for title. Troll walks into the bar. That's just awesome. Ooh, self-published fantasy blog off winner. If you like the romance, Eastern inspired, very, very character driven. JD Evans, Rain Room. She's got her series. This Mage of the Wheel series probably got at least 6-7 books. So you have lots to immerse yourself in. So if the fantasy romance is your bag, this is a great series to get into. And again, wonderful character work. And this is the only one read by her, but I do plan to pick up the rest of the series at some point. But again, this is a self-published fantasy blog off winner. So that says a lot. So again, JD Evans, an author you want to check out. Oh, wonderful booktuber, brilliant author, someone who writes specifically about mental health in such a significant way, handles it so adeptly with such respect and care, and writes incredible characters. Well-known, again, popular and beloved booktuber. Tori Tekin, The Bloodstones. Love this book. This blew me away. I'd read her Phase book, which is much different. But werewolves and stuff, but which was really good. But this was like, oh, this is fabulous. So this is part of a series, The Legends of Blue-Eye. It's going to be an ongoing series. I'm not sure when the next one's coming out, but I'm going to read this whole series for sure. This is brilliant. Another series that has potential to wind up in my top self-published indie series of all time. It's got that kind of potential, so we'll see. But yeah, at first blush with this book, absolutely stunning. So Tori Tekken, check her out. Okay, well, the stack is actually going down now. So let's go on back to some grimdark, and how high can we get? There's a couple here, but the Princess of Grimdark herself, H.L. Tinsley / Holly Tinsley. This is her latest, The Hallows, Flying Nuns in Space. Like it's maybe not in space, but Flying Nuns. So brilliant, grimdark. The humor, the wit is just spot on with Holly. Great characters. Just these dark, seedy worlds that people crawl out from under a rock, and but they try to make something out of themselves. She's just such a brilliant writer, especially with the characterization. So Holly is also a self-published blog of finalists with her Vanguard Chronicles first book, We Men of Ash and Shadow, another book most of you've heard about. But she has a lot of depth. She's someone who could probably write anything. And yeah, so Holly Tinsley, H.L. Tinsley, The Hallows, check this out. We're sticking with the dark stuff. We're sticking with the dark fantasy, the grimdark, the dark fantasy. Let's get on to up and coming dark fantasy star who a lot of people are starting to like. Okay, got some writing chops. Zamir Amir, Riven Earth. Love this duology. It was fantastic. Sun and Moon is the second one. Half-read novella. Zamir is a brilliant writer. This is just, when you see an author who's, their star shines brightly right away like this, you just know there's big things around the corner, right? So again, fantastic stuff. This book in series, Riven Earth, was one of my top books that I read last year. And as with Sunder Nation, the follow-up, Samara Amir, a rising star in the science fiction fantasy indie grimdark scene, and a wonderful fellow. More dark fantasy, another well-decorated author, self-published fantasy blog off, I think 2-time semifinalist for different series. This is, the whole premise is, this one is, what if, the Dark Lord is defeated, but then what happens after? And it's not so good. So a dark oak, dryads, nymphs. It's just an amazing series. Jacob Sadis is so talented. You see the hardware again. An underrated author for, even with all the accolades, yeah, still underrated. But definitely a series you want to check out that's going to break your heart in all the right places. But check out Jacob Sanix's work. Brilliant author. Maybe one of the best covers out there in fantasy. That's saying a lot because fantasy has some amazing covers, but for me, this cover is just, it's off the charts. The author is yet another self-published fantasy blog off finalist, different book, but you have to read her stuff. Her knowledge of all things aquatic and what might lurk under the ocean is amazing. When do you see Selkies in your fantasy? Jay Hannaford, another author that you've probably heard of. Look at this cover, man. The skin, isn't that gorgeous? And that's a Selkie, right in the middle. Like, yeah, it's amazing. Sci-fi fantasy. It is just. She's a great writer. Love the prose. Really smooth and compelling stuff. So J.E. Hannaford, read her work. All right. You like chonky stuff. You like extensive. If you're one of those, you want the hard magic, you want to know the nuts and bolts, the ins and outs, what it's about, and you want great characterization, really, really deep characterization and wonderfully drawn, flawed characters. Um, Thomas Howard Riley, We Break Immortals. Look at this beautiful chunk, eh? Another book you've probably heard of and probably seen, probably put on your TBR and said, should I get to it? Yes, you should. It is fabulous. This book made me cry. It made me laugh. There's so much to it as it is, but it's not just the page count. It's the depth and the breadth and how well it's written. So We Break Immortals, Thomas Howard Riley, brilliant author, wonderful person. Check out his stuff. Now, this one technically is small press / traditionally published, but I had to sneak it on there because I neglected to put it on my my trad list. This is a book. The original short story, which formed this eventual novel, was nominated for a Nebula, I believe. This is it's a brilliant author, wonderful person. This is Yaroslav Barsakov and Sleeping Worlds No Hundred Rain. Look at that cover and that tower. It is political driven. It is very heart wrenching. It's one man's quest to do the right thing when he's not quite sure what the right thing is. This book is fabulous. Fabulous. The reason why it was nominated for Nebula. Very deserving. I'm honored that Yaroslav will have a prominent place in terms of cover endorsements for my next book, which makes me extremely humbled that he would be willing to do that. Wonderful person, Yaroslav Barsakov. Sleeping Worlds Have No Memory. Again, it was nominated for some pretty big hardware, so you definitely want to check this out. Okay, another self-published fantasy blog off finalist. Ooh, we just got them all over the place. Trudy Skies, Gaslamp type fantasy, The Cruel Gods. The 13th Hour is the book. It is again character-driven. A book where characters are at odds and they have to find a way to come together again to do the right thing. Absolutely brilliant. I really have to continue this series. It's a travesty I haven't, but I believe the series is finished now. I also have a novella by her I have to get to. I think she's written quite a few things now. So, but yeah, Trudy, wonderful person as well. You want character depth. Gaslamp are really unique. The world building is astounding here, right? In the world that she's created. So, Trudy Skies, check out her books. Another author who has immense talent and writes brilliantly, exceptionally dark fantasy. The themes of religion, which is a theme that I find fascinating, and how that's explored. She is a book that when I was a judge, as a self-published fantasy blog off judge, I nominated to go forward to the semifinals. Another wonderful person and absolutely brilliant author. Sarah K. Ballstrip, this is the old cover. She's redone it, and I'm humbled to have my cover quote on the new cover. But this is a brilliant book. This is a brilliant author. Again, a rising star, someone you really need to pay attention to. You need to read Sarah K. Ballstrip. It is very, very, very good. And if you like compelling themes, especially surrounding religion and power and something to read, something really good to read. The Way of Uni, Sarah K. Ballstrip is the author. So we talked about Grimdark. And there's Grimdark, and then there's Michael R. Fletcher. And this is Beyond Redemption. It was originally traditionally published. Michael R. Fletcher has become one of the best known self-published fantasy authors out there. He's another trailblazer that has paved the way for a lot of us. His Grimdark is known as the Grimdarkiest of Grimdark, but it is fabulous. This explores, mental illness. It explores. It's just just go read it. It's a very popular book. You've probably heard of it again, but anything about Michael R. Fletcher, you can't go wrong. like the Rob J. Hayes and like the Mike Shells and like the Ben Gals. Michael Fletcher is a trailblazer, and there's a reason for it. And he's also a brilliant author with a huge body of work that you need to check out. And if you like grimdark, you cannot go wrong with starting at the very top of the grimdark spectrum, and that's where Michael Fletcher is. Speaking of grimdark, Bring the Pain, Hurt Me So Good. Another hugely rising star. Her talent is immense. Someone that I cannot wait to see what she writes next. I will read everything that she writes. Brilliant, Middle Eastern inspired, lush fantasy. You want something similar to what Zamil Akhtar writes. And again, but she's unique, she's inventive, she's her own person, she's her own writer. But in that milieu, Obsidian, Sienna Frost. Wow, is this writer talented? Can't say enough about her books. You've probably seen them around. Go get them. Believe me, very much worth the investment. This is probably going to wind up on your top favorite list once you get into her writing. So, Sienna Frost. Oh, boy. You want to talk a book that will make you cry. This explores gender euphoria, the very ultimately rewarding but troublesome journey dealing with transgender issues in a science fiction setting. This is a book that, again, it's going to affect you. It's probably going to make you cry. But it's going to educate you. It's going to make you feel differently, perhaps, about the entire topic. And this is Pluralities by Abby Silver. This was definitely one of my top books of the year when I read it. It's probably going to be one of yours, and it's beautifully written. It is topical. It is something that I think everyone should read. You never know when you might have a friend, a family member, someone who will. These are things that will be part of their lives. So Pluralities, can't speak highly enough about Abby Silver and this book. Ooh, okay. Another self-published fantasy blog off finalist. Mike McClung, The Thief Who Pulled on Trouble's Blades. So if you want something like that feels kind of like R. Scott Lynch and Gentlemen Bastards, you want something that's, not too big, but fun, immersive, dark, compelling themes, found family, all those types of things, the things that you kind of get with Scott Lynch. That's my comparator here. Check out Mike McClung. Great writer, got some great books, and this is A Thief Who Pulled on Trouble's Blades. But yeah, check out Mike McClung, another trailblazing author that's been around for a while and has been really honing their craft. You want to read, the best comparator I can use with this one is, it's kind of like the Stephen King of self-published fantasy, although I know he doesn't have the recognition and the acclaim comparatively at all. He's very much an under the radar author, but one I really think you need to read. Just fantastic writer. This is T.C. Schuler, 22 Dutch Road. Creepy, great characters. If you like I said, if you like Stephen King, if you like that creeping dread and you don't know what's under the basement, and these characters are trying to figure it out and come to terms with it. Yeah, T.C. Schuler. That's your more on the fantasy, on the horror side, the horror supernatural side, perhaps, than straight up fantasy or sci-fi. But yeah, this is definitely an author you want to read. Wow, another self-published fantasy blog off finalist. Wow, I mean, sometimes, but sometimes, the book, the cover doesn't tell the story. If you look at this cover, you're thinking straight up grimdark, this this skeletal monster type figure and really awesome armor. But this is much more about character driven, political intrigue. So T.L. Greylock and Bryce O'Connor. Bryce, of course, is the head of Wraithmark Creative, the brilliant publication company, and T.L. Greylock is a wonderful author in his own right. I think Bryce would say that T.L. did the lion's share of the writing for this book. I think he would say that. But this is awesome, really good. I have to read more of Godforge Chronicles, but T.L. Greylock is definitely an author that you want to read. And again, this was a self-published Fantasy Blog Off finalist. We talked about OGs. We talked about trailblazers. We talked about people who paved the way for all of us. Well, somewhere near the top of that list is Bengali. This is the written. Emaneska is an extremely well-known series. He's a brilliant author, best-selling author. He's someone who, if you want to feel well-read, I feel in the indie sphere, Bengali is somewhere where you start. He does so much for the community, and again, he is a fabulous author. Action, character depth, he's got it all, and he's been doing it for a long time. So I don't think you can go wrong with checking out his work. And he has such a range, whether it's sci-fi or fantasy. He can write, I think, in any subgenre. He's a brilliant guy, and yeah, but Bengali. Oh, when this series is done, it's going to be in my top science fiction fantasy series, indie-wise, of all time. There's absolutely no question. It's just too good. It's character-driven. It's all about the characters. It's about a bunch of characters who are irresistibly drawn together, and but it's probably not going to be for a good reason. Daniel Jackson, the Airborne Saga, wow. Really popular series, sells really well, and there's a reason for that. It's one of those, it's a chonker, but it reads so fast, you will go through this, in a few days. It is fast-paced, it is exciting, the characters are horrible but compelling, except for a couple of them. But yeah, you're really Airborne is a really awesome series that I can't get enough of. I can't wait to see how it's finished up. I think the first and the last book, I think it's a quadrilogy, is coming out sometime soon. So, Airborne. Oh boy, okay, the stock is finally going down. We're getting there. So, fun, action, great characters. This author is becoming very well known for their novellas, especially racking up a lot of recognition there in the science fiction novella blog off. I always forget that acronym, SFNISC or whatever it is. But he's a great writer. Flat Into the Darkness, Timothy Wolf. This is a novella. This is part of his main series, right? But this Legacy of Bulan series, something I'm going to hopefully finish this year. Awesome stuff. Timothy Wolf, it's just a blast, right? Just a blast. Snarky gods, it's just a blast. It's a lot of fun. Read Timothy Wolf stuff, but especially his novellas have come really highly regarded. So check out all of his works, but if you're looking for shorter reads, his novellas are very, very highly regarded. And Max says, excited to get the Udan prologue. Philip's currently writing. Yep, for full transparency. Yep, he said that. Sorry, I put that comment up already. Apologies, Mac. But I mean, it's so good. I'll put up again. Just a reminder that that Philip is writing an Udan prologue, which is really exciting since he's now published the sequel in While Darkness Gathers. So, but what Mac did say just now is have Tekken's Bloodstones, Frost Obsidian, Waking, already in logic. You must, Mac. You will not be disappointed. Both awesome. And both awesome. I won't say more. I don't want to influence or, unduly influence you. But yeah, I think they're both amazing. So hope you enjoy them as much as I did. All right. Dystopian fantasy romance. One of my favorite authors in the indie sphere, period. Definitely her series top 2 or 3. Wonderful person, dynamic. If you like, a lot of fantasy readers aren't particularly interested. I won't say a lot, but there's a percentage that aren't particularly interested in. I mean, if you like the pure fantasy stuff, not the romancy, not interested in romance or fantasy, but this is romance done really well. I personally love romance, but that said, the themes are really compelling. It feels like the United Nations. You think about Star Trek and the Starfleet colonizing these new worlds, and but what sometimes got lost is the fact of the difficulties that go behind the scenes into making these space alliances work. So yeah, it's great stuff. It's great stuff. Eve Koger's Tangle of Choices. It is amazing, amazing stuff. Love Eve's writing. She writes in other genres. She's got a brilliant police procedural called The Accidental Cop that'll really make you think. I said in Latvia. So, anyways, Eve Koger's reader stuff, brilliant author. If you like the dystopian stuff with a touch of romance in there, that it will be right up your alley. So, think. Now, I'm not sure who this is. Someone's put up Please Say Reborn as Truck by Katie Burke. Wattpad Roll. Haven't heard of it, but thank you for giving that rec. But I thought I would put that comment up there quickly. Just trying to breeze through this. So, Harry Potter, His Dark Materials, but more whimsy. Crucible of the Crimson Lion. If you like the lighter stuff, the YA stuff, Elizabeth Eckstein has written a couple brilliant books in that milieu. Just something that you can, really you can read with your kids. Just really, really great stuff. The Lion, the Witch, and Wardrobe. Books like that, reminiscent of books like that. Beautiful covers too, right? So yeah, I really think that if that's something you're looking for, you can find a lot to love here in this book and this author. Okay. Back to more of the traditional fantasy, like the Viking-inspired stuff. One of my favorite, if not my favorite, indie fantasy series in that segment of fantasy. Tim Hardy, Brotherhood of the Eagle, This is Sundered Souls. Amazing characters. Some of the best. I know some people don't like prologues. Some of the best prologues out there. I like prologues. So, it's just incredible. If you like the John Gwynne stuff, if you like, but with I think again some excellent characterizations, great battle scenes, heavy on the politics, the Game of Thrones, all the political machinations. Great stuff here. A lot to love. Another series that's on my top science fiction and fantasy indie series. This is on that top list. Brother of the Eagle and Tim Hardy. One of his books, A Quiet Vengeance, is, if I made a list of just single best science fiction fantasy indie books, that would definitely be near the top. Brilliant writer, Tim Hardy. And this is Brotherhood of the Eagle, Sundered Souls. All right. We talked about really popular books and really well-known books and books that, singular books that everybody's probably heard of or read. Great representation in terms of neurodivergence, found family, amazing characters, a book you've heard of, seen, Dragon Mage, M.L. Spencer. I believe another self-published fantasy blog a finalist. Yeah, one of the most popular books out there. There's a reason for it. It is absolutely stupendous. Yeah, Dragon Rider Fantasy. Hey man, I'm not gonna belabor this one. I mean, just go and buy it. You won't regret it. It's a chonker. You're gonna love it, and you're gonna want more. And I hope ML gets to the sequel at some point soon. Underrated. You want to talk about the Mongols, so more of the historical fiction side, but in the fantasy alternate world setting, more of a modern or postmodern or even futuristic setting. Great characters, lots of sex, drugs, and rock and roll, but lots of depth. Jason Shannon, Hounds of Rouge, impeccable research done in this. He's a scholar, man. Jason Shannon. and with what he has written in terms of the Huns and Attila and that era, and push that forward into our more our world setting. Yeah, just absolutely brilliant, unique. A chonker, but can't wait to get the second part of this year. Jason is a brilliant author and a wonderful person. I've had the privilege of meeting in person, and this is really good stuff. Okay, where are we? Okay, River Faces North. One of my favorite authors out there, Anne Smith Oshizak. So, futuristic dystopian fantasy, environmental disasters. This everything that Anne writes really makes you think, makes you wonder, but ultimately gives you hope about what is possible for the future. And you definitely want to read your stuff. Not too big, but so dynamic. Again, the back of the blurb there, the last part delivers a reader's dystopian tale of survival, sacrifice, resilience, and enduring power of hope and love. Well said. Amazing author. One of my faves. And M. Smith. Another OG, someone who, again, you really have to give it up to the OGs. I think this author needs no introduction. You definitely want to read everything that they write. They have quite the backlist. I think like Ben Galley and like Mike Shell and authors like that, Rob J. Hayes needs no introduction. Where Loyalties Lie, Pirates, Giant Centipedes, just great stuff. Rob J. Hayes, just read his stuff. I'm not going to say too much more because this is a very popular author and one of the best-selling, I think, science fiction indie authors is going out there right now. Read Rob J. Hayes. You won't go wrong. And he's an awesome person. So Rob J. Hayes stuff. And Ryan Kale has Rad Dragon of Fantasy. I believe he's indie Bound and Broken series. Yeah, I already that was already up on the list. Nerd Hermit Ace. So thank you very much. Yeah, Ryan is awesome, and of course one of the best-selling indie science fiction and fantasy authors out there. So I did feature his novella The Fall. So if you have time to go back and watch this video on the replay, you'll see that it is up there. So, but thanks for commenting and checking out this video. All right. We're getting there. We're almost down to the ones that I don't have the physical. Another brilliant author, A.J. Calvin, Exile. This is book 1, Cain Legacy. A.J. is so amazing. She's such talent and diversity of different types of fantasy. So character driven again, but great action, dark. But yeah, fabulous stuff. A.J. Calvin, check out her works. This is Exile, part of her newest series. So yeah, absolutely. Check out A.J. Calvin. No worries at all. No worries at all. Thank you so much, though. All right. Dark, twisted, compelling. It feels like you are in a surreal but beautifully dark world. That's what you get when you read Bjorn Larson, and this is Land, part of his 10-world cycle. Norse-inspired fantasy, centering around a lot of characters that you will know, i.e. the Odins and the Freyas, but just brilliantly written. One of the best pure writers out there. Just fabulous stuff. Bjorn Larson, an author I truly admire. Read his stuff. He also writes amazing satire. Check out his Why Odin Drinks series. He's, again, just a writer with immense talent that can write, I think, in any subgenre. So check out Bjorn Larson and this is Land. Okay, you like the fast. You like scary monsters. You like a book that you can just devour in a couple hours. You like politics. You like horror. You like sci-fi. You like. It's just a really great mix. B.A. Bellick, Pulse. It's this great. Think about Black Mirror, X Files. It's a mashup of things, but it's fast, it's gory, and it's really entertaining. So B.A. Bellick, great author. Check out his stuff, including Pulse. An author really, I believe, is going to break out at some point, not as well known, but his debut really, really made an impression on me. His debut was Bindings of Woe. This is Connor Jackson, Change the World series. This is something you want to check out. Not very well known again, but, an author on the rise. So if you like the darker fantasy, but with some of the traditional tropes, check out Connor Jackson. And there is a legend herself, the amazing Tori Tekken, who I mentioned earlier. Yeah, 85, Tori. I wish I could get more, but, I'd be here all night. So Tori herself is a legend. As you saw her book earlier, I talked about the Bloodstones. I talked about how much I like it, that I believe it's going to be one of my top series eventually when she finishes that series. She's also a brilliant booktuber, as I said, very beloved. Check out her stuff. It is incredible. So Tori's wonderful. Thanks so much for stopping by. Hey, Tori, you know what? It's all about giving back, as you know. And Tori's someone who is famous for giving back and so being so generous and wonderful with her time. Give back to the community. She's all about taking care of us. So the least we can do is do the same, right, Tori? So thank you for dropping by the way. It's always great to see you pop up in any chat. All right, we're getting there. Okay, so sci-fi. I believe Nebula nominated as well. Not as well known, but this is a talented writer. Lucian Telford, this sequence. Think about Blade Runner meets Dune meets Agatha Christie. It's great stuff. Sequels coming out, I hope soon. This has been out for a while. Great stuff. Lucian's a pilot by trade, and he brings that gravitas to all the cool flight combat scenes. So great stuff. The sequence, Lucian Telford, check his stuff out. Thanks so much, Tori. Right back at you. Okay, another brilliant author. This novella, his series best known for, I believe, a self-published fantasy blog off semi-finalist, Ringlander. This novella, it's called The Ballot Was Lost. Michael S. Jackson, very talented writer, great stuff, writes amazing battle scenes. The Ballot was Lost. It takes place just over the course of one battle, but don't let the size of this novella fool you. It really packs a punch. It is fabulous stuff. So Michael S. Jackson, check out his work, and this is The Battle That Was Lost. Okay, so you want something more along the lit RPG side. You want orcs. You want great battles. Jeffrey Speak, Paladin Unbound. Great stuff. Yes, TPR. Tori says, TPR. That's the whole point. But Tori, I'm giving 85 months, man. 85 months. 85 authors, 85 months. You got lots of time. Jeffrey Speak, great person. If you like, again, I don't read a lot of the lit RPG stuff or that ilk, but a lot of people love this series for that reason alone. But it was a lot of fun. So a great palate cleanser for me, who typically reads more of the big, heavy, chunky, dark fantasy stuff. So check out Jeffrey Speak. Again, Orcs, Paladin Unbound. All right, we are really truly getting there. So perhaps a lesser known work, but one that I absolutely loved, somewhat of a classic. I'm honored to have my name, my good endorsement quote on the back cover as well. So this is R.P. Lauer, and this is Scars of Gaia, about war-torn nations dealing with some real trauma and people trying to come together from opposing sides to fix things, to save the world. So great stuff. R.P. Lauer, a lesser known author perhaps, but one that I think you will enjoy. Not too big, but really great story here. Great storyteller. So R.P. Lauer, This Is Scars of Gaia. And Nerd Hermit 80 put up quickly. Bill, sounds super cool. Standalone series. It's a series. It's a duology, actually. Nerd Hermit 80. So it is a duology. There's 2 books in it, and they read really fast. So if you like that kind of stuff, and again, really creepy, disgusting monsters, but and people fighting against it. A lot of compelling themes again, like capitalism, all kinds of things. It's if you like fantasy horror, sci-fi horror, it's great stuff. So highly recommended, Nerd Hermit 80. But yeah, thanks for commenting. All right, so where was I? Ooh, you want this is a book that will probably creep you out. It's this plague-ravaged world where people have turned on each other, and maybe there might be just a trigger warning. There might be something akin to cannibalism happening here. However, it is dark, it is compelling, it is brilliantly written, and this is Godless Lands by Sean Crow. It's a series, I believe the series is called Godless Lands. Great character work here, really showing you the depths, the highs and the lows of humanity, the lows we will stoop to and the highs we can climb to, and the self-sacrifice we'll make for one another. A lot of the goodness comes out in this book as well. But yeah, the premise is pretty creepy, but it is so well written. So be warned. But again, Goddess Lands, great grimdark fantasy. Okay, Nerd Hermit, if you're a horror movie addict, Pulse is right up your alley. So, we got you, man. We got you. Go check out Pulse. All right. Well, I mean, I mentioned earlier Guy Gavriel Kay. Marianne L. Thorpe writes the way that Kay writes these worlds that are inspired by the real world and different time periods, like medieval time period, the Renaissance time period, and but writes these great character-driven novels like, Maria Fawn by Marianne L. Thorpe. This is more of a novella, but her main series, I believe, is like 11 to 12 books long. It's fantastic stuff. Empire's Legacy is the main series. Really well regarded critically. Doesn't get enough love, though, that series, but it is definitely well written. Great, compelling character stuff. Even more of the slow burn, but I've very much heard it compared favorably. I have only read this book, and I loved it, to writers such as Guy Gavriel Kay in terms of what they do there. So check out Marianne L. Thorpe. Okay. I think we got 5 or 6 more on the stack. We have The Lord's Dome. We have E.D. Bell. Very author, writes with a lot of great diversity and rep. Great sci-fi. She also has her own publishing company, essentially. She publishes some brilliant authors. Again, a small novella, but lots of great stuff. I was going to quickly read the blurb. Laura's Dome is a slipstream fantasy about a girl who refuses to believe that the fate of her family is to suffer the mining elder who must suddenly decide whether to trust this lone girl and the search for the truth of an enigmatic god while the unyielding Everstorm rages overhead. So, E.D. Bell, great person, love her stuff. Go get it. More sci-fi fantasy, fairly well known, really well written, great prose. Love the prose in this book. Essentially about a centuries-old battle that takes place in these various worlds, a conflict between siblings. This is really good stuff. Divinity's Twilight, Christopher Russell, Rebirth. Yeah, great character work. I think airships, it's got a little bit of everything, I think, that you would love. If this sounds like your bag. If you like the Dandelion Dynasty, it's not, I don't want to say similar, but it's got some of that vibe for me, right? With this, and perhaps that's not a good comparator, but it's my comparator. Anyways, check this out. Divinity's Twilight, great stuff. Again, one of my favorite authors. her stuff is so rich, it's so immersive. Again, it's dystopian, but again, it's positive. It's the power of what we can do as human beings to fix the things we've done to ourselves, to the planet. It is just beautiful. It is, again, in my top series of all time. This is Spelldrifts. A.M. Mawhinney is the author. Just such a brilliant author. The prose is fabulous. The family dynamics, the play between generations, she does that really well. This is just great stuff. I can't get enough of her writing. So, yep, A.M. Mawhinney, Spelldrifts. You want a mashup of, I'm trying to describe this. It's sci-fi, it's Arthurian legend, it's alien species, there's dragon lore. It packs a lot in there. And this is a brilliant author. So it takes a brilliant author to pull it off. And that's T.L. Coughlin, Of Us and Them. This is something that, again, it's not big, but it's more on the YA side. But I think it's so well written. Great stuff here. If you're looking for a short read and something to sink your teeth into, yeah, Of Us and Them is just fabulous. So well written. And again, great person, great author. Of Us and Them, more on the YA side and sci-fi side. But yeah, there's a lot to love there. More sci-fi and one about I don't want to spoil the plot here. It's so good. Someone who lives through a lot of cataclysmic events over time. That's all I'm going to say about this one. It's really hard to not to spoil the plot, but I'm going to put Endless up here. Chris Winters. It's absolutely wonderful. It's again short, character driven. There's a mystery that you got to figure out at the end. I don't want to say too much. I'm being very vague here. I apologize. I'm not really selling this probably well. Just to say it's a great book. It's not very big. You can get through in a day or so. And I just think it's really compelling stuff. So check out Endless by Chris Winters. Woo, the last physical one. Tropes done right. Elves, dwarves, humans. Really like a version where you see a writer who's trying to hone their craft, and there's so much talent there, and when they put that all together, it's going to be something. So Adam Bishop, Sea of Cinders, beautiful covers, eh? So tropes again. When tropes are done right, it's a great book. So again, very author, up and coming author. You can see the talent. You can see them putting it all together. This is good stuff. So if you like those kind of tropes and some familiar creatures in terms of the historical type fantasy, yeah, it's great. All right, we are on to the books that I do not have physical copies. So I'm going to try and get through this really quick. I'm going to try and breeze through some of these, okay? So we have quickly, and I apologize, I don't have time to fix the setting and make it larger. Valkyrie of Anaheim, Phil Parker, great fantasy stuff, and also very unique creatures and unique situations. That's what I'll say about that one. Another popular author, Lee Conley, zombie fantasy. So you can imagine there's that horror tilt and what the humans can do to survive in a world that's plagued by them. And, the things that we do to each other that are sometimes more horrible than the monsters. So Lee C. Conley, that's great stuff. A more obscure, but really great, a hidden gem I discovered, Lumilla Bruce, No Life, Void Immortality. A man turned monster, monster turned machine, a dying world. It's. I don't want to give away too much, but brilliant sci-fi, great character driven, something that is definitely worth your time. You look for something different and edgy. Patrick Zamfar, another self-published fantasy blog off semi-finalist, A Shadow of a Dead God. He writes great kind of mystery, central character. Again, you'll get that maybe Scott Lynch vibe, found family, really good stuff, right? The McThorne, I believe, is a series. So Shadow of a Dead God. You want some fantasy romance, you want some vampires, Moral Defiance by Laurel Maybrook. That series, really good. What prose is? The prose is going to surprise you. It's really good. Again, if you like the romantic side of fantasy, really compelling, slow burn, this is a great book for you. Book I endorsed to be a self-published fantasy blog off semifinalist when I was a judge. The Long Nights, Tom Mock, really, really intelligent guy. Vampire, sci-fi, creepy, dark, tortured main character. Great stuff. The Long Nights. Tom Mock. Another fabulous author on the fairy tale side, the themes about, like self-esteem, how you recover from mental and emotional abuse in a beautifully told fairy tale. The writing is impeccable here. Something you're going to want to savor and also will really touch you. Dance with Me by Olivia Elliott. She's just a brilliant author and a great booktuber. Check out all her content is absolutely wonderful. Very, very intellectual, very cerebral content from her. One of my books of the year, they're wonderful Mintons, amazing booktubers. Their sci-fi breakout, smash hit, Discovery, Strange Eons. What do I say about this? I can't describe this in any way that's halfway articulate right now, but just know that it is sci-fi. It gives you an alternate history that's going to be so compelling. And what happens when mankind is captivated by one event and one thing that can potentially change the course of the world, and potentially in all the wrong ways. So check out, this is brilliant. Check out Discovery by the Mintons and check out their YouTube channel with John Minton. It is fantastic. It's fantastic. Sorry, I want to say the Mintons are a family. I don't want to. It is John and Jacob and Amy. And they are all co-authors. And again, this is fabulous stuff. Another self-published fantasy blog off semifinalist, I believe. Shadow and Ruin, African-inspired betrayal, dark magic, family dynamics, political intrigue. Great stuff. Tony DiBaggio. It's not as well known now because I think it's a duology. I think it's finished, but if you like African-inspired fantasy and you like in the milieu of the Evan Winter, the Burning, like Rage Dragon, that kind of stuff, that's the Rage Dragons. That's the kind of stuff you're gonna want to read this. Lesser known again, From Darkness Comes by Joy Damaris. Hidden gem. You be tortured, flawed main character, makes a lot of bad decisions, but it's like a train wreck. You can't look away from it. Great action, really good stuff. Again, under the radar, probably not a lot of reviews on Goodreads, but I thought it was one of those hidden gems that I'm definitely glad that I read, and you should consider putting on your TBR. Brilliant Western / now Tori Tekken, who was in the chat, I have to get to her book, Cold Silver for Souls. I hear it is just fabulous. But from everything I hear, this is very reminiscent of that, West of Apocalypse, and I loved West of Apocalypse. It was brilliant. Western space opera, revenge story. It was just great. So Bill Bloom, he's got rights to a lot of gravitas. He's a Mercy Dispatcher. He really brings a sense of authenticity to the work. And yeah, check out Bill Bloom's and check out West of Apocalypse. Another great author on the rise, Oregon Harvesting, compelling dark fantasy, Alligator Fragmented Vineyard, and Caden Love. Caden Love is definitely an author on the rise. Writes great stuff, really good. Like someone you're gonna want to keep on your TBR and watch them. I think that I think the book they have out now, fantasy horror. I think it's Two Suckers. I think that's the name of it. That I anticipate that's going to make a lot of noise in the scene. So check out Caden Love, another brilliant author. Under the radar, perhaps, but man, I talked about people who do impeccable historical research. Certainly around the Hannibal era and the Roman area of the Roman Empire at its height, Roman conquest, but set in a cool, like semi-space crazy world with anyways, Samuel Hill, Lines of Carthage, Anabolic Epic. It's brilliant. It's chunky. It's amazing. The fight scenes. It's got so much depth. Larger than life characters. Check it out. Servant of a Lesser God. Oh wow. Great character-driven fantasy. Darkness, depravity, and yet heroism. Characters in really tough situations to see what they will do, what they will stoop to, and how they might make it out in a way that might redeem them. So, yep, great stuff. Again, underrated, but Sean Paul Stevens is definitely an author I think you should check out. I don't know if this book even has 50 reviews on Goodreads, but it's criminally underrated. So, really good stuff. And we have Rosary Bushi, a Sigil of Enderun, a Druid's Magic, compelling drama, really good stuff. Read this a while back. And check out his work. Great author, great person, does a lot of great stuff on YouTube with, I believe, the Balding, etc. crew. And I think that is everything. I think it is. I think I got through all 85. If I missed anything, I will try and make adjustments, but I believe I've gotten through all 85 books. So that is 85 science fiction fantasy books from the indie side that I believe you should try and read in the next 85 months. Just over 7 years. So, hey, I hope I gave you some books from your TBR, something to think about, something to ponder. Throw it on your TBR, and hey, if you never get to it, but you never know, you might find something you really, really like. So that's it. I've been chatting for an hour and 20 minutes to y'all. Thank you so much for everyone who joined, just popped by in the live. A Nerd Hermit 80, Tori Talks, Mac Scarfield, etc. I really appreciate me doing this spontaneous video here and you guys popping by to say hi. The support means a lot. To anyone who's going to watch this later on the replay, like I said, I do hope, as Tori said, that your TBR stack topples over, as Tori Talk said. I do hope I've added some books to your TBR on the indie side, because indie science fiction fantasy is amazing, man. It's amazing. So we need to read more of it. All right, everyone. Have a wonderful Friday, a wonderful weekend, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye now.